the prophet of God who had super speed. Get ready to discover the story of a man who defied speed and outran the king's horses in ancient times. An astonishing event left everyone amazed when an ordinary man accomplished an extraordinary feat. How did he manage to surpass the strength and speed of the finest royal horses? In this video, we will unravel this mystery and explore the power behind this incredible achievement. Stay tuned. The story you are about to hear is one of the most incredible and fascinating in the Bible. During a time of great religious and political tension in Israel, a powerful figure emerged who challenged kings and false gods. This man, driven by divine force, performed feats that still astonish us today. In the book of 1 Kings, chapter 18, we find one of the most extraordinary moments of his life. After a dramatic confrontation with the prophets of Baal, he demonstrated not only his spiritual power, but also astonishing physical strength. This event changed history and strengthened the faith of a people. Let's discover how he achieved what seemed impossible to human eye. To understand this extraordinary feat, we must know the historical context in which he lived. At that time, Israel was ruled by King Ahab and Queen Jezreel. They promoted the worship of the pagan god Baal, causing great division among the people. Baal was considered the god of fertility and storms, and his cults often involved rituals contrary to God's laws. Spiritual and moral corruption spread, and the true God of Israel seemed forgotten. In this chaotic and challenging scenario, a powerful prophet called by God emerged to restore faith and obedience among the Israelites. The mission was clear: to confront the false gods and demonstrate that the Lord was the only true God. This context of religious and political conflict sets the stage for the incredible event we are about to explore. Elijah, prophet called by God, directly challenged the prophets of Baal to an epic confrontation on Mount Carmel. He proposed a definitive test to show who was the true God. Both Elijah and the 450 prophets of Baal were to prepare a sacrifice on an altar, but without lighting a fire. The true God would be the one who responded with fire from heaven to consume the sacrifice. From morning until noon, the prophets of Baal cried out, danced, and cut themselves waiting for a response. But nothing happened. No sound, no fire, just silence. Then Elijah began to mock them, suggesting that perhaps their God was sleeping or busy with another task. In the afternoon, Elijah gathered the people and rebuilt the Lord's altar, using 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. He dug a trench around the altar, placed the wood, prepared the sacrifice, and ordered that 4 jars of water be poured over the sacrifice and wood. He repeated the command 3 times until the water soaked everything and filled the trench around the altar. Then Elijah began to mock them, suggesting that perhaps their God was sleeping or busy with another task. In the afternoon, Elijah gathered the people and rebuilt the Lord's altar, using 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. He dug a trench around the altar, placed the wood, prepared the sacrifice, and ordered that 4 jars of water be poured over the sacrifice and wood. He repeated the command 3 times until the water soaked everything and filled the trench around the altar. Then Elijah prayed, "O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so that this people may know that you, Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back to you." Immediately, the fire of the Lord fell from heaven and consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, the earth, and even the water in the trench. Seeing this, the people prostrated themselves and exclaimed, "The Lord is God." This confrontation not only demonstrated the power of the true God, but also exposed the falsehood of the idols, restoring the faith of the people of Israel. After the dramatic confrontation on Mount Carmel, Elijah knew his mission was not yet finished. He had an important message for King Ahab. The drought that had plagued Israel for 3 years was about to end. Elijah told Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for I hear the sound of a heavy rain." While Ahab ascended the mountain to celebrate, Elijah prepared for a crucial moment. He climbed to the top of Mount Carmel, prostrated himself with his face between his knees, and began to pray fervently. He knew the rain promised by God was about to fall. There were still no signs of it. Elijah sent his servant 7 times to look towards the sea. First 6 times, the servant returned with no news. But on the 7th time, he saw a small cloud the size of a man's hand rising from the sea. Elijah recognized this as a sign that rain was on the way. He then sent his servant to tell Ahab to prepare his chariot and descend before the rain stopped him. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, and the tension in the air was palpable. Elijah, driven by divine force, girded his loins and prepared for what was to come. With unwavering determination and absolute faith, he was ready to perform an extraordinary feat, something that defied human logic and demonstrated once again the power of God. While Ahab was preparing to leave in his chariot pulled by the finest horses, Elijah set out to run, propelled by divine force. With the confirmation of the small cloud on the horizon, Elijah knew the great rain was about to arrive. He had warned Ahab to prepare his chariot and descend quickly before the storm detained him. King Ahab, trusting in the speed and strength of his horses, began his journey back to Jezreel. Meanwhile, Elijah, prepared for a crucial moment, positioned himself to run. Elijah was not just a powerful prophet in spirit, he was also about to demonstrate extraordinary physical strength. What happened next was nothing short of a miracle. Each step Elijah took was driven by unwavering faith and a greater purpose. He was not running merely on his own strength, but with the divine energy that empowered him. Imagine the scene. A seemingly ordinary man surpassing the king's swiftest horses, not due to his physical training, but because of the strength of deep faith and a divine mission. Elijah did not just run, he soared across the terrain, demonstrating that with God, all things are possible. This display of power was not merely to showcase Elijah's physical ability, but to affirm the power of the God of Israel, who can empower his servants in unimaginable ways. Elijah's run was not just a race, it was a living testimony of God's power acting through his faithful servant. Elijah's journey to Jezreel was not easy. The distance of approximately 15 miles was filled with rugged terrain, steep hills, and challenging trails. Moreover, the imminent arrival of the storm made the ground slippery and visibility scarce. Running under such conditions would be a challenge for any normal person, but Elijah had a divine mission. As he advanced, the wind intensified, and raindrops began to fall, turning the path into a muddy track. Yet, each obstacle along the way seemed only to strengthen his determination. Elijah did not slow down. Instead, he continued with surprising strength and agility. The adverse conditions only further highlighted the miracle that was occurring. As the storm rapidly formed, Elijah continued his run, propelled by the divine force guiding him. The landscape around him constantly changed, but his speed and concentration remained unwavering. What would be impossible for any other human being, Elijah was achieving with impressive precision and confidence. He not only overcame the challenges of the terrain, but also demonstrated that with divine help, it is possible to overcome any obstacle. King Ahab, in his chariot pulled by the finest horses, was astonished to see Elijah running ahead of him. The royal chariot, designed for speed and efficiency, should have easily overtaken any pedestrian runner. Yet Elijah, moved by divine force, not only kept pace with the chariot, surpassed it. For Ahab, this was more than surprising. It was an undeniable sign of God's power acting through Elijah. The onlookers, including the servants and the king's entourage, were stunned by what they saw. It was an incredible spectacle, a seemingly ordinary man surpassing the kingdom's best horses. On all faces, expressions of wonder and admiration were evident. This extraordinary feat not only demonstrated Elijah's incredible physical ability, but also reinforced his authority as a prophet of God. Elijah's run served as a powerful testimony to all who witnessed it, making it clear that the God of Israel was with him and granted him supernatural strength. This event deeply impacted everyone present, leaving a lasting impression of divine power. Elijah arrived in Jezreel before Ahab, demonstrating that the divine power moving him was greater than the strength of the king's horses. Elijah's arrival was not just a physical feat, but a powerful spiritual statement. When Elijah reached the gates of Jezreel, he had already covered a considerable distance under extreme conditions, something that would have been impossible without divine intervention. His quick arrival not only surprised Ahab, but also impacted all who witnessed the event. The city of Jezreel, which had been anxiously waiting for the king's return and the news of the rain's arrival, saw for the first time the solitary figure of Elijah, bringing with him the proof of God's power. This moment symbolized the victory of divine power over human forces, reinforcing the message that God was with Elijah and that true strength and speed came from the Lord. Elijah's arrival in Jezreel marked the end of an epic journey and the beginning of a new era of faith and hope for the people of Israel. Elijah's feat not only impressed those who witnessed it, but also reinforced his authority as a prophet of God. The run symbolized the urgency and importance of the message Elijah brought. It was the living proof that when we align ourselves with God's will, we can overcome human limits. Elijah's speed and strength, driven by God's power, were a clear demonstration that God can perform miracles through his servants. For the people of Israel, this event was a powerful reminder that God was present and active in their lives, willing to intervene and accomplish the impossible. Elijah's run became a story of inspiration and faith, demonstrating that trust in God can enable us to perform extraordinary feats. To this day, the story of Elijah leaving the king's horses behind continues to inspire generations, reminding us of the power of faith and God's ability to work miracles through his faithful servants. The story of Elijah leaving behind King Ahab's horses is much more than a remarkable physical feat. It offers deep lessons on faith, obedience, and the power of God. Elijah did not rely on his own strength, but on the strength that God gave him. He knew that to fulfill God's will, he needed to completely surrender to the Lord. This level of faith and dependence on God is something we can all aspire to in our lives. Reflecting on this story, we see that Elijah shows us what is possible when we are aligned with God's purpose. His run was not just an act of speed, but a symbol of the urgency and importance of God's message. Elijah teaches us that, despite obstacles and adversities, faith in God can allow us to achieve the unimaginable. Moreover, Elijah's story is a powerful reminder that God is always present, ready to support us on our path. When we face challenges, we can remember that just as God gave Elijah the strength to run ahead of the horses, he can also give us the strength to overcome our own challenges. The key lies in fully trusting him and following his guidance in our daily lives. We can apply the principles of this story by trusting God in all circumstances. If we are willing to submit to his will and trust in his strength, we can witness miracles and perform extraordinary feats. Elijah's run serves as an eternal testimony of what is possible when we have unwavering faith and obey God. May this story inspire us all to seek a deeper relationship with God and to trust him to guide and empower us in all areas of our lives. May we run our own races with the same faith and determination as Elijah, knowing that with God, all things are possible. Please leave your thoughts about the video topic in the comments, always respecting others' opinions. I hope you enjoyed the video. If this content was valuable to you, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Share this video with family and friends, give it a like, and leave your opinion in the comments. This helps the video reach more people. Together, we can enlighten more minds and expand our understanding. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you. In ancient scriptures, Enoch emerges as a singular figure whose closeness to God transcends the ordinary. The term intimacy might seem modest, yet it carries profound significance, symbolizing not just proximity, but also sincere companionship and deep affinity. Throughout the Bible, many souls found this intimate connection with the Lord, even before the Holy Spirit was given to empower people to follow the divine will. Enoch's story in Genesis is a remarkable example of such deep communion. Jared, who lived 162 years before fathering Enoch, continued to live for another 800 years, during which he had other children. At 65, Enoch became the father of Methuselah and then walked with God for 300 years, fathering more sons and daughters. His 365 years on earth culminated in an extraordinary divine communion, where God took him. Genesis 5:18-24. Enoch's story demonstrates a level of divine communion that transcends earthly existence, rewarding genuine closeness with supernatural experiences. The scriptures offer additional insights into Enoch's unique relationship with God. Hebrews 11 verse 5 reveals that by faith Enoch was taken away so that he did not see death and was not found because God had taken him. This verse underscores Enoch's faith, which pleased God. Jude 14:15 adds that Enoch, seventh from Adam, prophesied the Lord's return with thousands of saints to execute judgment on the ungodly. Enoch's unwavering faith resonates through the Bible, similar to Abraham's faith on Mount Moriah and Elijah's journey to heaven in a fiery chariot. Enoch's story illustrates that anyone willing to pay the price can experience a transcendent journey with God, as God shows no partiality. Intimacy with God involves a daily acknowledgement of His nature, unwavering belief in His promises, and solid faith in His word. Hebrews 11:6 emphasizes that without faith it is impossible to please Him. Following God requires determination, even in the face of more attractive alternatives. Psalm 63 1-2-8 speaks of a passionate pursuit of God. My soul thirsts for you. My soul follows close behind you. Enoch's life, marked by this profound walk with God, culminated in an extraordinary encounter, making him the first to experience a kind of rapture. This is affirmed in 1 Corinthians 2 verse 9, which declares, "Eye has not seen nor ear heard the things which God has prepared for those who love Him." Furthermore, intimacy with God reveals deep truths about His nature. Daniel's example illustrates this when God revealed a secret to him in a night vision. Daniel 2:17-20. Psalm 25:14 assures us that the secret of the Lord is with those who fear Him. Close communion with God grants us insights into His plans, privilege for those who revere Him. This intimacy empowers us to anticipate and thwart the enemy's schemes, offering joy to God, as Zephaniah 3:17 states, "The Lord your God in your midst will rejoice over you, gladness." God desires communion with us, which is essential for our potential to flourish. Jesus expressed this in John 15:4-5, "Abide in me and I in you, for without me you can do nothing." Pursuing intimacy with God elevates us above human limitations, grounding our achievements in divine union. This profound communion was first exemplified in the Garden of Eden, where God walked with Adam and Eve. Genesis 3:8. Despite human frailties, living in God's presence brings Him pleasure, as Revelation 4:11 proclaims, "You are worthy, O Lord, for you created all things." Job 38:1-7 invites us to marvel at God's creation, reminding us of our limited understanding before His vastness. Intimacy with God is an invitation to seek deeper knowledge of His majesty. Our pursuit of this intimacy fulfills our highest purpose and satisfies God's desire for communion with us. This longing for divine intimacy echoes within every human heart, even when unrecognized. In a small village nestled among rolling hills, there was a humble man named Amos, known for his profound faith and unshakable trust in God. Amos lived a simple life as a shepherd, tending to his flock with care and dedication. His days were spent in quiet reflection, often looking up to the heavens and speaking to God as if he were a close friend. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a beautiful shade of twilight, Amos felt a divine presence. He fell to his knees in awe, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace and love. It was in that moment that he heard a gentle whisper in his heart, calling him to embark on a journey to spread God's love and wisdom to those who had lost hope. Driven by this divine calling, Amos left his flock in the care of a trusted friend and set out on a pilgrimage. His journey took him through many towns and villages, where he shared the message of God's love, healing the sick, comforting the weary, and bringing hope to the hopeless. People were drawn to his words and his unwavering faith, finding solace and strength in his presence. One night while resting under the stars, Amos had a vision. He saw a grand tapestry woven with threads of light, each thread representing a life touched by his journey. The tapestry was incomplete, with many threads still waiting to be woven in. He understood that his journey was far from over, and that every act of kindness, every word of hope, was a thread in the divine tapestry. Years passed, and Amos's fame spread far and wide. He became a beacon of light in a dark world, reminding everyone of the power of faith and the beauty of an intimate relationship with God. Despite the hardships he faced, his faith never wavered. He knew that God walked with him every step of the way, just as he had with Enoch, Abraham, and Elijah. As Amos grew older, he felt his time on earth drawing to a close. One final time, he returned to his village, where he found his flock waiting for him. With tears of joy, he knelt and thanked God for the incredible journey. Surrounded by loved ones, Amos peacefully passed away, leaving behind a legacy of faith and love. In the days that followed, the villagers discovered a small, well-worn journal among Amos's belongings. It was filled with his reflections, prayers, and visions. One entry stood out. Intimacy with God is a journey of unwavering faith, a path that transcends time and space. It is in the quiet moments, the acts of kindness, and the deep communion with the divine that we find our true purpose. Inspired by Amos's life, the villagers continued his mission, spreading love, hope, and faith far and wide. The divine tapestry grew ever more beautiful, each thread a testament to the power of an intimate relationship with God. And so Amos's story lived on, a reminder that true intimacy with the divine is a journey that shapes and transforms our lives, bringing us closer to God and to one another. Lesson: the power of quiet faith in a noisy world. The story of Amos, a humble shepherd who became a beacon of hope through his quiet faith and intimate relationship with God, offers us profound insights into living a meaningful life in a world often overwhelmed by noise and distraction. In a time when society constantly demands attention, the life of Amos reminds us of the transformative power of quiet faith, steady devotion, and unwavering trust in God's plan. The value of simplicity and humility. Amos's life begins in the simplicity of a small village, where his days are spent tending to his flock. In today's fast-paced world, where success is often measured by wealth, status, and power, Amos's humble beginnings challenge us to reconsider what truly matters. His life as a shepherd, marked by care and dedication to his flock, illustrates the value of simplicity. He finds contentment not in material wealth or recognition, but in the quiet moments of reflection and communion with God. This simplicity is not a sign of weakness or lack of ambition. Rather, it is a testament to the strength found in humility. Amos's humility allows him to remain open to God's presence, ready to listen when the divine whisper calls him to a greater purpose. His willingness to leave behind the comfort of his familiar surroundings and embark on a journey of faith speaks to the power of humility in following God's will. In our own lives, embracing simplicity and humility can lead to a deeper understanding of our purpose. By stripping away the distractions of modern life, we can focus on what truly matters: our relationship with God, our connection to others, and our inner peace. Amos teaches us that it is not the grandeur of our achievements, but the sincerity of our faith and the humility of our hearts that bring us closer to God. Strength of quiet faith. One of the most striking aspects of Amos's story is his quiet faith. Unlike the dramatic displays of faith seen in other biblical figures, Amos's faith is subtle yet powerful. It is the kind of faith that does not seek attention or recognition, but remains steadfast and true in the face of life's challenges. This quiet faith is a beacon of light in a world where loud voices often drown out the still small voice of God. Amos's journey is not without hardships. He faces challenges and obstacles as he travels from village to village, spreading the message of God's love. Yet, through it all, his faith never wavers. He trusts in God's plan, even when the path is unclear. This unwavering faith is what sustains him, giving him the strength to continue his mission despite the difficulties he encounters. In our own lives, we too face challenges that test our faith. The noise of the world can make it difficult to hear God's voice, leading us to doubt or lose our way. However, Amos's story encourages us to cultivate a quiet faith that remains strong in the face of adversity. It reminds us that faith does not need to be loud or ostentatious to be powerful. Faith that is quiet, steady, and unwavering can move mountains and transform lives. The importance of listening to God's voice. Amos's life is marked by his deep communion with God. He spends his days in quiet reflection, speaking to God as if he were a close friend. This intimate relationship with the divine is what guides Amos on his journey and allows him to fulfill his calling. It is through listening to God's voice that Amos finds his purpose and direction in life. In today's world, where distractions are everywhere, listening to God's voice can be challenging. The constant barrage of information, noise, and demands on our time can make it difficult. to hear the still, small voice of God. However, Amos's story reminds us of the importance of setting aside time for quiet reflection and prayer. It is in these moments of stillness that we can tune out the noise of the world and listen to what God is saying to us. By cultivating a practice of regular prayer and reflection, we open ourselves up to divine guidance. Like Amos, we may find that God's voice leads us to unexpected places and calls us to fulfill a purpose we had not previously imagined. Listening to God's voice requires patience, humility, and a willingness to follow where He leads, even when the path is uncertain. The ripple effect of a life of faith. Amos's journey not only transforms his own life, but also touches the lives of countless others. The divine tapestry he envisions, woven with threads of light, symbolizes the impact of his faith on the world around him. Each act of kindness, each word of hope, is a thread in this tapestry, contributing to a greater whole. This ripple effect of faith is a powerful reminder that our actions, no matter how small, can have a lasting impact on others. Amos's life shows us that when we live in alignment with God's will, our faith becomes a source of light and hope for those around us. Even in our everyday interactions, we have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of others by sharing God's love and compassion. In a world that often prioritizes individual success and self-interest, Amos's story challenges us to think beyond ourselves and consider how our faith can contribute to the greater good. By living a life of quiet faith, humility, and service, we can create a ripple effect that touches the lives of others, and brings us closer to the realization of God's kingdom. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Amos's faith. Amos's story is a testament to the power of a life lived in quiet faith and intimate relationship with God. His journey, marked by humility, unwavering trust in God, and a commitment to spreading love and hope, offers us valuable lessons for navigating the complexities of modern life. In a noisy world that often demands our attention and distracts us from what truly matters, Amos's life serves as a reminder that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with God's will. By embracing simplicity, cultivating quiet faith, listening to God's voice, and considering the impact of our actions on others, we can follow in Amos's footsteps and contribute to a more compassionate, just, and loving world. Amos's legacy lives on, not in grand achievements of this world, but in the hearts and lives of those he touched. His story encourages us to pursue a deeper relationship with God and to live a life of purpose, guided by faith and love. In doing so, we too can leave behind a legacy that reflects the beauty of a life lived in communion with the divine. The book of Revelation has the power to send chills down your spine, not because it's a horror story, but because it portrays the ultimate battle between good and evil, marking the end of humanity's earthly journey. Chapters 6-16 vividly describe three catastrophic judgments: judgment of the seals, trumpets, and the bowls. The judgment of the seals. The 7 seals represent God's final judgments upon the world. Revelation 6:17 begins with a search for someone worthy to break the seals and open a scroll that contains the divine plan to conclude human history. As John's vision unfolds, each broken seal unleashes a new, devastating judgment on the world. In Revelation 5, John writes, "I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals." John was distressed when no one was found worthy to open it. But then came the good news. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. This lion, representing Jesus Christ, symbolizes both sacrificial love and divine judgment. As Christ begins opening the seals, heaven rejoices. A new song of redemption is sung. "Worthy are you to take the scroll and break its seals. For you were slain, and with your blood you purchased people for God from every tribe, language, people, and nation. You have made them a kingdom of priests to our God, and they will reign on earth." As the scroll unrolls, the judgments are revealed. The first 4 seals release the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, each bringing destruction. The first seal introduces the Antichrist, riding a white horse, symbolizing a deceptive peace at the beginning of tribulation. Revelation 6:1-2 describes this rider as holding a bow, the crown given to him, riding out as a conqueror bent on conquest. The second seal unleashes war. fiery red horse representing bloodshed appears. Revelation 6:3-4 says, its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. He was given a large sword. Third seal brings famine. A black horse appears with its rider holding a set of scales, symbolizing economic imbalance and scarcity. Revelation 6:5-6 warns, a quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, but do not damage the oil and wine. The fourth seal unleashes death. Pale horse with a rider named Death is followed by Hades. Revelation 6:7-8 declares, they were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, plague, and wild beasts. The fifth seal reveals the souls of martyrs who died for their faith. Revelation 6:9-11 shows them crying out, how long, O Lord, until you judge those who shed our blood? They are told to rest until their fellow servants also meet martyrdom. The sixth seal brings a great earthquake and cosmic disturbances. Revelation 6:12-14 describes the scene. The sun turned black, the moon turned blood red, and the stars fell to earth. People of every status hide in caves, crying out for the mountains to shield them from God's wrath. There is a brief pause before the opening of the seventh seal, described in Revelation 8:1. When he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour, in awe of the imminent judgment. The judgments of the trumpets and bulls. Trumpet judgments, found in Revelation 8:9, and the bull judgments described in Revelation 16, further escalate God's wrath. Each trumpet and bull intensifies the devastation on earth, leading to the final confrontation between good and evil. Together, the seals, trumpets, and bowls in the book of Revelation convey a sobering message. The world is under divine judgment, and humanity is called to repent. Ultimate triumph of good over evil is inevitable. The reign of the great beast. In the end times, Revelation foretells the rise of a terrifying entity, great beast, a monstrous figure with 7 heads and 10 horns, emerging from the sea. The beast's ascent signals the culmination of human rebellion and spiritual decay, as nations abandon divine truth. The beast's influence spreads stealthily, infiltrating political systems, economies, and cultures. As nations wage war and leaders seek power, they unknowingly become instruments of the beast's design. The beast is not alone. A second beast, false prophet, arises, performing miraculous signs that deceive the masses. Revelation warns of fire from heaven and miraculous healings that lead people to worship the beast. False prophet enforces allegiance through the mark of the beast, without which no one can buy or sell. This mark, placed on the right hand or forehead, symbolizes complete submission to the beast's rule. However, the faithful resist. 2 witnesses, clothed in sackcloth, emerge, preaching repentance and performing signs of their own. Though they are eventually killed by the beast, their resurrection after 3 days strikes terror into those who oppose them. The beast's reign is marked by destruction as natural disasters intensify and humanity's suffering increases. Despite this, many refuse to repent, cursing God instead. The final battle and triumph. The beast's dominion leads to the climactic battle of Armageddon. Revelation depicts a divine warrior, Christ, descending from heaven on a white horse, leading the forces of good. With the sword of his mouth, he strikes down the nation. The beast and the false prophet are cast into the lake of fire. In the end, a new heaven and a new earth emerge, free from corruption and pain. God's justice prevails, and the faithful are vindicated. The reign of the great beast becomes a distant memory, overshadowed by the eternal triumph of good over evil. The book of Revelation, especially the account of the 7 seals, trumpets, bowls, and the reign of the great beast, serves as a rich narrative filled with symbolism and profound lesson. Although often associated with fear, doom, and judgment, this biblical passage contains deep spiritual teachings about perseverance, faith, the nature of evil, and the ultimate triumph of good. At its core, Revelation offers a cautionary tale of human folly, divine justice, and the enduring hope for redemption. Here are the essential lessons we can draw from the dramatic unfolding of these events. 1. The reality of spiritual warfare. One of the central themes of Revelation is the cosmic battle between good and evil. The introduction of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, rise of the Antichrist, and the great beast all symbolize the forces of darkness that humanity has faced and continues to encounter. The various stages of destruction unleashed by the opening of the seals, sounding of the trumpets, and pouring of the bowls serve as reminders that evil exists in the world and often works insidiously to undermine what is good and just. This spiritual warfare is not limited to external forces, but often takes place within the hearts and minds of individuals. The Antichrist riding a white horse, initially symbolizing peace, teaches us that evil can be deceptive, often masquerading as something good to gain a foothold. The second beast, or false prophet, performs miracles that lead people astray, a powerful reminder that not all that glitters is gold. The idea that evil can disguise itself in the guise of righteousness urges us to be vigilant and discerning, always seeking the truth in a world filled with temptations and false promises. Number 2. The importance of faith and endurance. Throughout the story, the faithful are called to endure extreme trials, persecution, and suffering. The martyrs under the fifth seal represent those who have held fast to their faith despite immense opposition. Their question to God, "How long before you judge and avenge our blood?" highlights the human tendency to seek immediate justice. However, God tells them to wait, reassuring them that their sacrifice is not in vain. This teaches us that faith is not only about belief in a higher power, but also about patience and trust in divine timing. In life, we often face struggles, both big and small, that challenge our faith. The narrative of Revelation shows that although justice may be delayed, it is not denied. For the faithful, the message is clear. Do not lose hope or abandon your principles, even when the world around you seems to be falling apart. Endurance is a key component of faith, and those who persevere will ultimately be vindicated. 3. The consequences of moral and spiritual decay. The rise of the great beast symbolizes the culmination of humanity's moral and spiritual decline. As nations turn away from divine truth and seek their own path, they become vulnerable to corruption, deception, and eventual destruction. The beast, representing unchecked power and tyranny, infiltrates every facet of society, from politics, culture. Those in positions of power, blinded by ambition, align themselves with the beast, believing they are securing their own prosperity. This is a stark reminder that when societies abandon moral principles and spiritual integrity, they open the door to chaos and destruction. The beast's rise is not a sudden event, the result of centuries of spiritual erosion. The lesson here is that both individuals and societies must remain rooted in ethical and spiritual values. When we compromise on fundamental truths or allow greed, ambition, and self-interest to dominate, we invite ruin into our lives and community. The image of the mark of the beast, which restricts buying and selling to those who bear it, serves as a warning against succumbing to societal pressures at the expense of personal beliefs and values. Today, this can be seen as a metaphor for the ways in which materialism, consumerism, and the pursuit of worldly success can corrupt our souls if we are not careful. The mark symbolizes ultimate control over one's life, and accepting it means surrendering one's autonomy to forces that do not align with divine or moral principles. 4. The role of divine judgment. Revelation does not shy away from presenting a vision of divine judgment. The destruction brought by the seals, trumpets, and bowls, along with the eventual downfall of the beast, underscores the idea evil will not go unpunished. While the punishments described in Revelation are severe, they reflect the severity of humanity's rebellion against divine order. This notion of divine justice serves as a reminder that actions have consequences. The world today often operates on the principle of immediate gratification and consequence-free decision-making, but Revelation offers a counter-narrative. The moral law of the universe, as presented in the Bible, suggests that while wrongdoing may not be immediately punished, it is always accounted for in the end. Divine justice may be slow in coming, but it is certain. For believers, this is both a comfort and a warning. God is not indifferent to suffering, injustice, or evil, but will act at the right time to set things right. 5. Power of hope and redemption. Amid all the calamities and tribulations, the book of Revelation carries a strong message of hope. The faithful, though persecuted and oppressed, remain steadfast, knowing that the reign of evil is temporary. Revelation promises the ultimate victory of good over evil, symbolized by the Battle of Armageddon. Christ defeats the beast and the false prophet, casting them into the lake of fire. This victory leads to the creation of a new heaven and a new earth, where suffering, death, and sorrow are no more. The message here is clear. No matter how bleak or hopeless things may seem, redemption is always possible. God has not abandoned humanity, and even in the darkest times, His plan is unfolding toward the renewal of all things. This eternal perspective offers hope in our own lives. We may face overwhelming difficulties, whether personal or global, but the promise of a future where justice, peace, and love prevail can sustain us. The vision of a new world where God dwells with humanity speaks to the human longing for restoration and wholeness, both in this life and the next. 6. The call to stand firm against evil. The faithful in Revelation are not passive. They actively resist the beast and refuse to take the mark, knowing that doing so would mean compromising their beliefs and their relationship with God. Even in the face of death, they remain true to their convictions. This teaches us the importance of standing firm in our beliefs, even when the cost is high. In today's world, where values are often fluid and societal pressures can be intense, the story of Revelation reminds us that integrity and faithfulness are worth any price. The courage to resist evil, even when it seems to be winning, is a hallmark of spiritual maturity and strength. Conclusion. The book of Revelation offers a profound and timeless message. It teaches us about the reality of spiritual warfare, the importance of faith and endurance, consequences of moral decay, and the certainty of divine judgment. Most importantly, it offers a message of hope and redemption, reminding us that no matter how dark the times may seem, good will ultimately triumph over evil. The lessons from Revelation encourage us to stay true to our beliefs, resist the forces that seek to lead us astray, and trust in the unfolding of God's plan for humanity's ultimate restoration.